Question 7 wants us to work out the equation of some lines given a bit of information. Now, you'll notice that there's no diagram on this question, so we can't rely on a diagram to help. These questions are still quite simple though. Now, in the first one, we're given a point that it passes through, 0, 2, and we're given the fact that it is parallel to this line here, y equals 3x minus 2. Now, both those bits of information actually make this quite an easy question, particularly given that this point here is the y-intercept. If you think about the y-axis, everywhere on the y-axis, the x-coordinate is 0. Okay, so the point 0, 2 is the y-intercept. It's intercepting at 2. So we know our equation is y equals something x plus 2. We'll come back to that gradient in a second. Okay, now the gradient, we use this bit to work that out. So we know that our line is parallel to the line y equals 3x minus 2. Now if two lines are parallel, they share the same steepness. They have to, otherwise they would meet. And if they share the same steepness, they have the same gradient. So if the gradient of this line is 3, the gradient of our line is 3. So this is our full equation. And in part B, we're given two sets of coordinates, and we need to again work out the equation. A little bit more difficult this question, but not impossible. So first of all, let's try and work out our gradient. Now there's no diagram to help us draw on this one, but that's okay, because these coordinates actually represent the corners of our triangle that we can use to work this out. Okay, so imagine that this point here is the point -3, -6. And this point here is the point 5, 6. Now what has our x step been to get from -3 on the x-axis to 5? -3 to 5 is a distance of 8. And what has our y step been to get from -6 to +6? That's a distance of 12. It doesn't really matter that this diagram doesn't really represent that very well. Okay, now the gradient is the y step divided by the x step, so 12 divided by 8 which cancels down to 3 over 2 or 1.5 if you prefer a decimal. Right, so I'm going to write down what we know about the equation so far. Actually, I'll write it over here. Y equals 1.5x. Now, it might have a y-intercept as well, so to work that out, what we need to do is substitute in one of these sets of coordinates into our equation, because we know a value for y. Now we can use either of these. Let's go for the positive ones. We know a value for y, 6. We know a value for x, 5. And we know the gradient. So I'm just going to write down, not that. Actually, yeah, let's go for that. Let's write down our general formula for the equation of a line. And let's substitute in the things we know. We know that y is 6. We know the gradient is 1.5. We know the x-coordinate is 5. So we can work out what c has to be from this. Now 1.5 times 5 is 7.5. So we know that 6 equals 7.5 plus c. So what must c be? C must be -1.5. And that's our equation.